Alright, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Nikola Jokic. The last two games have been just absolutely, I don't even know, it's been absolutely insane what he's been doing the last two games, this entire season. And I guess I'm just talking about Jokic and the Nuggets in this video. I don't really know. There's not really a game plan. I'm just going into it because I feel like I have to speak on Nikola Jokic because this guy's been insane, reaching new levels of new territory, new levels this season. So that's what we're talking about here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. Link to my Twitters, all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So Nikola Jokic, this video really stems from the last two games that he's had the last two nights. This weekend was an amazing weekend for Nikola Jokic. He had back-to-back games. He had one game on Saturday against the Washington Wizards. He put up 56 points, 16 rebounds, and 8 assists. The second most points in a game in Nugget history, only behind David Thompson, who scored 73 back in like the 70s. And they ended up losing to the Wizards, giving the Wizards their third win of the season, snapping the 16-game losing streak. That was a really tough game. And honestly, the tone of this video is going to be a lot different if they would have lost last night as well, but they destroyed Atlanta by 30 last night, where he gave you 48, 14, and 8. So yeah. That game against the Wizards, I watched in dang near totality, especially the second half. I watched in like totality because I was watching what Jokic was doing. I was like, man, like this is a masterclass right now that he's putting on. Yet no one else can do anything, and they're losing to the Wizards. So I have to lock in and watch this game. I watched the entirety of the game. Jokic literally just, and if he really wanted to, he could have probably had 70. But of course, his nature, he passed the ball a whole lot. There's a couple minute or 2 minute stretches in the fourth quarter where he didn't take a shot, and I was like, man, the ball. I said it multiple times. And I was watching by myself here in my little closet, and I was like, man, like I don't want anybody else but 15 taking a shot right now. Like anybody, like the only time you're not taking a shot if you're Jokic is if you're cutting and he finds you on the cut, or you get a steal, you get a transition, wide open lane layup. Like that's all. Like I don't even trust anybody shooting a 3-ball or dribbling the ball. Like give the ball to 15. That's what he was doing. And he did everything he could. He did miss a couple shots at the end of the fourth quarter. He ran out of gas a little bit, but 56, 16, and 8, man. 56, 16, and 8. That's ridiculous numbers. That's ridiculous. 22 for 38 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, 9 for 13 from the line. He did miss 4 free throws in the second half. And then you come into last night, coming off that game against the Wizards, coming into Atlanta, and he gives you 48, 14, and 8. And they win by 30 because the others decide to show up and start playing basketball. He shoots 17 for 29, 3 for 6 and 3, 11 for 13 from the free throw line. Actually has a better game score in this game than he did in the last game against Washington. He had a 43.9, and against Atlanta, 43.8 against Washington, which isn't his highest game score this season. It was back against Dallas when they won. He gave you 37, 18, and 15 on 13 for 21 shooting. It was a 44.8 game score. Interesting. But yeah, these last two games, he's combined for 104 points. 104 points, 30 rebounds, 16 assists. He's taken 65 shots in the past 2 days. 65 shots. And the thing is, that might not even be enough. Like he might, in that Wizard game, he might have needed to take a little bit more shots in that game, honestly. You know, like that honestly might not be enough. 39 for 58 or 39 for 67. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm doing math wrong. 67 shot attempts in the last two games. 39 for 67 might not be enough. Might have to take 70 something shots. 6 for 11 from 3, 20 for 26 to the free throw line. And 1-1 in those two games. Just ridiculous stuff. And we already know Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. There's no really question about it right now. It's been him and then everybody else. Right now, he's maybe not running away like he was early in the season because Giannis is right now. It's Jokic and Giannis. I feel like in the MVP conversation. But Jokic is number one right now for me personally. He's been the best player in the world, the best player in the league, and he's really had to have been. And obviously, Giannis has had to. Like obviously, the Bucks have had a big turnaround. That's a lot due to Giannis taking over. But Jokic, man, like he's on another planet right now. He really is. He's on another planet. Look at the game. I'm looking at his game log right now, and it's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. There's only one game. His worst game of the year came like opening night. He had 16, 12, and 13. After that, like it's been ridiculous. I'm just gonna read all of his games, all the stats from every game this season. Jokic. So 16, 12, and 13 in opening day. They lost to Thunder. 41 and 9, 40, 10, 29, 18, and 16, 26, 9, and 13, 27, 16, and 9, 28, 14, and 13, 23, 20, and 16, 30, 11, and 14, 37, 18, and 15. Then he missed a couple games due to the birth of his child. 33, 11, and 33, 17, and 10, 34, 13, and 8, then 22, 7, and 7 against New York, where they got blown out. 30, 10, and 7, 28, 14, and 11, 38, 10, and 6 with 5 steals, 27, 20, and 11, and then 56, 16, 8, 48, 14, 8. That's just insane numbers right there. 9 triple doubles as well to be averaging. He's averaging 32, 13, and 10 on the season while shooting 56% from the field, 50% from 3 on the most attempts he's ever shot in his career, by the way, 80% from the free throw line. So, yeah, that's just statistically, we already know what Jokic does. But literally, for this Denver Nuggets team, he has to do everything. You know, the last 2 games, they did not have Jamal Murray for the past 2 games. Aaron Gordon, did he play last night against Atlanta? I don't remember. But he didn't have Aaron Gordon in the Washington game. We know there's been no secret that this Denver Nuggets depth and rotation is not great. They're relying on a lot of players that haven't been in the position before, guys like Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, Christian Brown, who have had their moments throughout the season. Especially Christian Brown has been really solid this season for what they asked him to do and what he needs to do. Then you have no backup big, really. You know, DeAndre Jordan is 74 years old, still trying to play. Darius Saric is not good. Zeke Naji can't even get minutes on this team. Then Jamal Murray, we know it's no secret that he also has just not been good at all this season. He's not looked like Jamal Murray that we're used to seeing. Michael Porter Jr. has been very on and off this year, but he's starting to pick it up. Then you have, Russell Westbrook has done his thing. He's gotten a lot better throughout the season as it's gone on. Aaron Gordon has missed a lot of time due to injury, unfortunately. And just this Nuggets team just is not the same. They're not the same Nuggets team. The depth is not there. Literally, if Nikola Jokic is not on the court, they're not going to win. Every time Nikola Jokic comes out of the game and they're up, he comes back in and it's either a tie game or they're losing. Like, it's just always been like that. Always, 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 always. And, like, the things he's had to do this season is just something we haven't seen from Jokic. Like, he's literally reaching another level where now he has to go out and get 30. Before, Jokic never wanted, like, every time Jokic had a 40, 50-point game, they were losing. Because teams recognize, all right, Jokic, you're going to have to score every point because we're not going to let everybody else do their thing. And it's still like that, but it's just Jokic now just has a different, I feel like, motivation, a different demeanor, or a different, I don't know, something different this year. I think he recognizes this team is not as good as past year's teams. They can't rely on Jamal Murray being playoff Jamal. They can't rely on, people being healthy. They can't rely on KCP. Can't rely on having guys like Jeff Green and Bruce Brown coming off the bench. Like, he doesn't rely on that. Now, really, it's kind of him having to do everything on the court, which you already know we can do, but we just haven't seen it for a full season. Like, we've seen it in stretches, we've seen it in certain games, but we've never seen a full season of Jokic doing this. Jokic being, Superman to this extent. Like, obviously, he's won 3 of the last 4 MVPs. Obviously, we've seen him be dominant and do things like this, but this is another level. This is another, evolution of Jokic, where now he's giving you 35 while also rebounding the ball at a crazy rate, also having 10 assists on this team, while also shooting the ball super efficiently, like literally doing everything on the court. He is a one-man show. He's a one-man wrecking crew on the court. And it's been ridiculous to watch. It's been absolutely ridiculous to watch. And it just has you thinking, like, well, for the rest of the season, obviously the Nuggets are going to need a lot more help. I don't know if the trade can be made or anything like that. They're going to need a lot more help because they can't run Nikola Jokic into the ground. Like, if they keep doing this, they're going to have to run Jokic into the ground just to be like a 3rd seed or a 4th seed, maybe, and then have to go through a playoff run. It's going to be very tough on Jokic's body, especially at the rate. Again, we haven't seen him do this at this type of rate, But looking at just the peak of Nikola Jokic, really, since the 2020-2021 season, he has been the best. He's been one of the. He has been. He's become. He's been either one of the better players or the best player in the league. It's been ridiculous. I mean, the last 5 years, including this season, the last 5 years. I mean, it's been ridiculous. I mean, 2021, he played every game, 72 games. He gave you 26, 10, and 8 with a steal, and he won MVP that year because that was the year the Nuggets didn't have on. Looking at this roster, I think was this the year? No, this was not that. This was not that year. No, 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 no. But yeah, this is the year where the Jokic Nuggets coming off that conference finals appearance against the Lakers. Jokic really like became one of the guys, was doing really good, and he dominated. The next year, 2022, give you 27, 13, and 8. Wins MVP again because without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., he leads the Nuggets to a 6 seed. 2023, he did not win MVP, but guess what he did? He won Finals MVP and won a championship with the Denver Nuggets, where he gave you 24, 12, and almost 10 while shooting 63% from the field. Then last season, he won MVP, 26, 12, and 9 with a steal, doing his thing. This year, he's on pace to win his 4th MVP in the last 5 seasons. And the one year that he did win MVP, he finished 2nd in MVP and he won a championship that year. So looking at this 5-year stretch of Nikola Jokic, he's got 3 MVPs, made potentially 4 MVPs, 3, potentially probably 4 All NBA first team appearances and All NBA second team appearance, All Star all 5 years, an NBA championship potentially 2, Finals MVP at least potentially 2. Average right now he's averaging. If he continues this season, he'll be averaging a triple double, which he'll be the 3rd player ever to average a triple double in NBA history. Potentially could win the rebounding title. Potentially could win the scoring title. He's only a little bit behind Giannis. Has I'm not gonna say 50, 40, 90 season, but he's at 50, 50, 80 right now. So he's gonna have, I'm gonna say, an efficient season. Like this peak of Nikola Jokic is just something we don't see often. In terms of peak for peak, and I see a lot of people debating this stuff. Peak for peak, like just looking at players, where they're peaked at, where their highest level, their highest ceiling was, for all players. This is one of the greatest we've seen, right? But it has to be one of the greatest we've seen. I don't know where I'm gonna scale it in terms of top 10, top 5, or anything like that. I mean, peaks we've seen. I'm talking about more recently, but LeBron, obviously, LeBron, the peak. LeBron may be the greatest peak. Steph Curry's peak for a couple years was amazing. He won a couple of championships, a couple MVPs, the first ever unanimous MVP, one of the greatest point guards of all time. Kevin Durant's peak was pretty good. Giannis, you could say Giannis is also in his peak right now, the way he's been balling out. And then you have to go back. I mean, Kobe, obviously his peak was he won a couple of championships, won an MVP, was maybe one of the best players, if not the best player in the league. Just trying to think of peaks that where players were like the best in the league, and that's only really in the 2000s, in this era at least. It was like LeBron, Steph, Giannis, Kobe, probably Kevin Durant at some point, even though he also was in a era with LeBron, Kobe, and Steph. Kevin Durant was also up there, you know. And then you have Jokic now has this peak. So looking at just peaks and ceilings and where they reach their highest level, Jokic, at least in the recent years, is one of the best, obviously. Looking at all time, also has to be one of the better ones of all time. I mean, you go back, I mean, Jordan obviously was Jordan. Larry and Magic obviously had their time, Kareem had his time. Shaq had his time. Um, where they were like, I'm saying peak, I'm considering like best player in the league. They were the best player in the league, best player in the world. Because that's what Jokic is, best player in the league, best player in the world. So that's what I'm comparing to. Obviously, there's a lot of other great players that maybe were great, but maybe didn't reach that best player in the world status. But I mean, it's insane. It's really insane what we're witnessing from Jokic. We are literally witnessing one of the greatest players ever. You know, and he's 20. He still has so many years left to go. Still has the entirety of this season left to go, obviously. But when we're looking back on Nikola Jokic's career, man, we're gonna be like, dang, like we witnessed something insane. We witnessed something absolutely insane. You know what I mean? Like we witnessed something just wild. You know, like the way he plays, the things he does, it's legendary type stuff. You know, so I guess I'm making this video just to give flowers to Nikola Jokic and how great he is. Also, Denver, please give this man some help, please. I don't want to see this guy get run into the ground, this early. But then again, also if the Nuggets don't play like this, we also don't get these type of performances. So I guess it's a double-edged sword, whatever we get. And yeah, Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. That's really all we're saying. That's all I'm saying in this video. It's really wild how great he has been and how great he's become, and I can't wait to see more of it, obviously. But yeah, it's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.